I'm from where niggas pull your card and argue all day about who's the best MCs, Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas.
Top 5 dead or alive, and that's just off one LP.
I will still be on top.
Trust me, at the top it isn't lonely.
All hail King Cole, first of his name, Long May Reign.
Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Culture, everybody wanna cut the legs off. King Culture, black man taking no losses. Oh yeah.
Ready? Let's get it. Right. You just tuned in to Top 5 by Zoe, the admirer of airtight flows, minor chord progressions, and intricate bass lines. Today we have a returning guest. Welcome back. Introduce yourself again.
Yes, it's E. Ooh. Yes, it's E BANDZ, y'all. Represent 8K. How y'all doing? I'm back. What's up, Zoe?
What up? One of the first things that I wanted to get into before we got started was recently, you know, hip hop as a community, we've been dealing with the tragic taking of Nipsey Hussle in the community, like in hip hop, and besides like the politics of it all, and you know, the details that are like unraveling right now. Were you like a fan of his music? Like what does his passing mean to you? Like what did you get out of him?
It mean a lot because I mean I wasn't a fan of his for like years, but as he was promoing Victory Lap, I'm like getting into like, okay, who is this guy? And at the same time of all of that, that's when me and my guys are starting to do our music. So when you can hear him talk and he's talking about the blueprint of how to get it done, it's like we're trying our best to follow that now that we see it. So it really sucked because there's not a lot of guys in his age bracket that's doing it like that. Like you got to look up to Puff, you got to look up to Jay, and they're so, you know, far-fetched in their head. Like this guy is becoming more, you know, into the game and doing it that way, and that's what we wanted. So it hit me hard because that was the main guy we were looking at. So yeah, it really sucked. As soon as I got that news, I cried and all that. I'm like, damn, like it just feel like if you're doing something that good and you following the steps properly, like that shouldn't happen to you.
Yeah.
So it sucked.
It's terrible because like if you like go on my Twitter feed, like you literally see my reaction by us getting each news. Like as soon as I heard he was shot, I'm like, no, what the fuck? And then when they say that he passed, I was like, no, you're kidding me. Like this can't be real. And similar to you, like I remember like first hearing his music probably in like 2008 or something, because I think whenever that song came out with him, French Montana, like it's the I'm On It song. That was the first time I ever heard him. And like, you know, like his verse is like one I knew like in subconsciously, and then like just hearing him on different verses, like hearing him with Wale or hearing him with just featured on different things. That's how I was like brought to his attention. But yes, like Victory Lap was the
main event.
Yeah, and I remember 2 years ago, like a year ago, 2 years ago. Shout out to my friend Gilbert. He definitely was like, yo, no, you need to listen to Nipsey. He was like, I'm gonna make you a playlist type thing. Like, and I'm like, okay, like, but then I started like getting into his music like that, and like just finding the Crenshaw and all that stuff like that. But
it's crazy because that like Victory Lap is his debut album, and you say like you heard I'm On in 08, so it's like he was really taking his time.
You
and
saw that.
That's why it came out so good. I remember that I'm On It now that you say it, because I was in the French on them tapes too. But it's a process.
And I think that's what hit a lot of artists, like young artists, and like just seeing, like you said, seeing his blueprint and how he was actually getting to what he was getting to, and like obviously you keep hearing about him and his community work and giving back to the community and all the things that he planned to do, like to actually like put low income housing in Crenshaw. Like it's just like beyond like, and not to say this, but I'm going to say it. Like I just feel like these people, certain people like that have that trajectory where it's like, this is the senseless thing that happens to them when they're actually trying to do something right. And I have so many views about it, and of course like about, you know, hateration in the community, but and like people trying to take people out because they don't want to see you do good, or that just their ego is just so hurt by stupid shit. But
yeah, anybody seeing him go, we was always saying like, yeah, anybody could just get it senselessly. Like it's whack, man.
It's super whack. And I'm like, I was just thinking like recently, like, yo, hip hop is not as bad as it used to be in the 90s, like where it's, in terms of violence, like, you know, like when it was the East Coast, West Coast time, like there was a time where you could not, you felt this feeling, you felt any time, like all the time. Right. But I just felt like it's a little bit peaceful. Even like the little beefs that we see,
it's all music now.
Yeah,
Most of it is music. But
rest in peace, and like not to start the episode off really like morbid and sad, but I just felt like for respect, and I couldn't do a hip hop podcast without talking about it. That's like, you know what I'm saying? So and you even hit me like, yo, how do you feel about this? I'm just like, this is sickening.
Because that hit me hard. I text so many people. I'm like, this don't feel real. Like, even I heard about it towards the end of the day, went to sleep, I woke up, and I forgot about it. I opened my phone, I'm like, oh, shoot, he really died. Like, getting the news, like, for the first time, the second time. Like, so, R.I.P. Nippy, man.
Yeah, R.I.P. So, you're back with a new project.
Yes.
Carepackage 2.
Yes.
Give the audience an idea of like what it's about.
Well, it's the second coming of the first one. So every Valentine's Day I plan on doing this. I don't know how far I'm gonna take it with 5, 6, or 7, but this is the second one, and I'm basically, you know, creating that vibe, because that's really my main lane, I would say, when it comes to like catering to speaking to women and stuff like that. So whether it's, you know, something real sexual or something with heartache, anything like that, I'm just trying to tap into a whole bunch of feelings, and we all go through that, you know, through the year, but mostly on Valentine's Day. That's when, oh damn, what's my man gonna do for me? Like, oh, we gonna get it popping tonight. Oh damn, he ain't doing nothing. I hate this dude. Like, I'm trying to hit all angles at everything. So.
Yeah, it does feel like that. In this project, I think in your care package projects, you do a lot of almost like you have like a subconscious voice talking to like the conscious voice. So like, give me an idea of like how you format your songs and how do you lay it out? Like say, something like that.
So all right, so a lot of times I start with the basis of like getting my verse off. Like, I gotta create the idea of what I want it to be, and I'll create the verse. But the thing that you're trying to say with talking to myself, that's all in the ad libs. Like, I would be like, all right, start the song from the top. Everything is already finished. The chorus, the hook, and everything. And whatever my reaction is to how I feel about the song, I'll just go ahead and say it. And then it just seems to mesh right in. Yeah. So that's why. I mean, you're not the first person to tell me that. Like, I feel like I'm talking to myself on the track. Yeah, because it's the feelings that I get off of it, and that feels, you know, more organic and more real. So. I
mean, that's the essence of an ad lib, right? Like, even like our favorite ad-libbers in the culture, like Cam, like, you know what I'm saying, or like Jim Jones, like, not to just say Dipset, but they, I feel like those, like, that is reflected in your music, but more of like a R&B vibe. And speaking of like the R&B vibe, like there were a lot of like nostalgic flips and samples on the song. So what, like, when you were picking the beats for the song, or like when you were listening to the music, like what inspired you to, you know, take those interpolations and bring them on?
It started with the last track. There's a producer named Kenneth English, shout out to him. I saw that he did the Daniel Caesar and Herb thing, so I'm like, okay, I can make this a thing.
That's hard. I like that a lot.
I found that already made, and then after I recorded that, it was like, okay, I could probably push this further. It will, you know, grasp the audience more. So it would be a random night. I'd be out partying or in the crib. If I hear somebody playing an old song that I really love, then I'm gonna text with my producer like, yo, like, you think you could do this, blah blah blah. And in a matter of days, that's how I got fronting. I'm in the middle of a party, I'm hearing fronting. And I'm like, yo, this feel mad good. Like, I think I want to work with this. And then he gave me that in like 3-4 days. Wow. So it just became a lot of just hitting them up over the songs that I like growing up and stuff like that. Even with the Bobby Valentino thing like that. Like, that was off rip. So yeah, it was a lot of that.
How important is having that nostalgic feel in your music? Like, would you categorize it as R&B, or like would you categorize it as, you know, just rap? Or
I mean, nowadays, I can't really split the two because I feel like we're so deep into mixing the both. Like, if you look at the early 2000s, you can definitely see the separation. A lot of artists now are putting R&B with rap, so that's why I feel it resonated with a lot of people because it's a lot of what's going on. So, yeah, like, back to what I was saying with the front and the whole tell me thing. Me, I already know, first off, I'm going to be a rapper, and I do want to get into the whole singing thing, but these soft songs, if I put my own mix to it, that's how it becomes, the best version of what it was. So
I did hear you singing a little bit. I was like, oh, check E out.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to extend the bag, man.
So self-admittedly, you get a little personal on the song Change, right? Yeah. And I think even when your ad-libs was like, I didn't mean to get personal on this, but I did, like something like that. How important is it for you to be transparent in your music and explain the background of that song?
To me, it's very important because if I don't get personal and I just choose to follow what I think the listener may like, I'm gonna sound like everybody else. You have to like learn to really be personal with yourself, so your story will be told. So, yeah, there will be a mix of trying to think, dang, what would they like? And that's when the party songs come through and so forth. But for a song like Change, I was like, okay, in order for me to give off, something about me, and it's not just a broad project, I got to get this personal. And I was in a space of, going through all those things I said in that song when I was making it, because this project took me about almost like 6 months or something like that. So through the mix of, the second half of last year, I was going through all those things and those feelings with that person and everything like that. So it's only right that I talk about it. It was even a frustration at one point when I was making the other songs. So it was like, if I don't get this off my chest, it's going to take even longer to make the rest of these songs. So let me get it off. It was more therapeutic and everything. And then after that, the rest of the songs flowed.
So can the audience expect that you would be that transparent, like, throughout, like, all your relationships, or, like, even, like, in terms of family, like, or, like, your day-to-day life? Like, what do you hope to like motivate people or like inspire them to be themselves? Like, what's your aim in terms of doing that?
Yeah, definitely motivation. Like I said with Nip, like that was one of the main things we pulled from him also. In my previous project, 1718, I'm gonna put it back up soon. I had songs like the last track, once again, where I talked about my grandfather passing and how that affected me, and living in the basement with my mother and stuff like that. So yeah, I have to a lot of times those songs are the first ones that are done because that's like real life, like that's the deepest thing that's going on with me. So it's more therapeutic, and I get that big bag off my shoulder, and then I could, run the rest. So, yeah, you're going to expect that in every single project I put out. So it went from doing that. I can have personal stories with relationships that broke apart, whether that's with a woman or, guys I'm trying to do this whole music thing with, or anything when it comes to that, and especially family, too. So,
what's your favorite song in the project?
I feel like it switches a lot of times.
Maybe rank them.
I would say Tell Me. Because that was the one where it was like, I called Key. I'm like, yo, like I have this verse I just wrote. I know the project come out in 2-3 days. And I called my producer last minute too. And he was like, yo, like this is real last minute. Blah, blah. We were up 2 a.m. recording that song. Wow. Because he had everything already booked. So I would say Tell Me because I wasn't going to do anything if that didn't go on there. Like I wanted that so bad, especially with the sample. It came to me mad late. I was like, and that song, I was able to write that like a day. Wow. So I was like, yeah, that would be the favorite on there. I can't lie.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the project. I listened to it about 3 or 4 times during my commute because it's about 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah, 5
5 songs.
Yeah.
So it was really good, and I definitely am gonna play a track on this episode for you guys to listen to. So aside from that, what should the audience expect from you this summer?
This summer is gonna be a big hit because I'm in the process of like trying to get a lot of videos done for the Carepackage, and then I also want to create a longer project. So every year even like last year was Carepackage 1 and 171. Like the Carepackage is a small piece to the bigger part. So I haven't given my bigger project a name yet. It's still in the works right now. But I hopefully want to have that out by this summer. That's one thing that I've always talked about since I started music, like having something for the summer where, you know, we got the barbecues and everybody's feeling it. I want that effect. So right now as we speak, I'm in the process of doing it. And it's going to be great. I can't lie. This is going to be one of those, I want to say, self-made projects where I get extra personal. Somebody was even telling me, like, I should call it BANDZ, like, just make it my name. Like, that's the whole energy I'm trying to get towards. And I'm hooking up with a lot of producers. There'll be more features on this one. It's going to be a lot, you know. I'm trying to do, like, 14, 15 songs. Like, I really want to, you know, give a lot. So it's going to be great. So that with the mixture of doing a lot of videos, this summer, really look for me.
So what's the process in terms of finding your sound for the summer? Because a lot of people say they want to put out music in the summer, you know, like have that vibe and feel, but what does that specifically mean for eBANDZ?
For me, I really tap into the things that I'm doing around that time. So like when the summertime comes around, we're outside a lot more. I'm brunching a lot more. So I feel like, you know, I need party songs that are catered to the brunch area, and I'm actually going to do something like that. So it's all a matter of what I'm doing, because I like to be in the mix, whether it's cold or hot. So whatever's going on around that time, it would you know, show and prove what I'm doing in that moment. So a lot more party songs. I'll still cater to the women, but it probably won't be as soft as a Carepackage product. But yeah, that's the sound I'm going for. It's gonna be a lot more hype, a lot more energy, and a longer project with that.
I'm excited. So to switch gears a little bit into like some current music events.
Okay.
Are you what are you listening to now? And yeah, give us an idea of what you're into.
Well, I mean, outside of these past few days, what just been Nip.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to really pull a lot of music because I'm so focused in doing mine. But I would say I listen to Kalani's new project. A lot of people, that's underrated to a lot of people.
Yeah, I really love that song with Music Soul Child on it.
Yeah, that first track.
But I'm obsessed with Music Soul Child. Like people don't even know. Like, anyway. But yeah, that is
yeah, definitely Kalani's project. The Baby is hitting a lot. It's hitting hard, coming through.
I was just talking to the other Eli about the Baby. I was like, I need to get into his music a little more. I've heard a lot of people talking about it.
And I've been playing it, and it's been growing on me. I didn't like it at first, the Lil Nas song with the cowboy John.
Oh yeah, the Old Town Road. How do you feel about? So this is the perfect question and segue. How do you feel? Like, are you aware of like how the song was charting on the country Billboard, but they basically decided to snatch it down because they said that it didn't have the country elements that are in. Like,
speaking in this moment, 2019, and I could probably talk for like a few years before, hip hop has been pulled, like they pull bits and pieces from all of our stuff. We've always been number one when it came to a lot of stuff. Pop artists pull our stuff, R&B, and now, you know, I feel like a lot of country artists are gonna start doing that. So it sucks because it's like that's really a country song. They probably just don't like the context of what's being said. So yeah, that was whack. That was real whack. But we're gonna continue to do that because I feel like people are gonna, you know, pull from what Nas did and repeat, and the next thing you know, that's gonna be our thing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because traditional hip hop traditionally has been taken, like you said, and put in pop songs or like in other genres, or like people come into our into hip hop and like, oh yeah, I'm a rock star, but it's like literally hip hop music. And in my opinion, I think that this Lil Nas X song is a hip hop song, but if it can be categorized as like a country hip hop fusion, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think to say that it's not traditional country because it does have that little banjo like type sample, and then now that the legend Billy Ray Cyrus is on it, like, I mean, I
love that he did that.
Yeah, I mean, although like I do have my feelings about them and like how they like jump on shit just because like just to get them popping, but I think it's an interesting like chess move in terms of like, okay, now like what are y'all gonna say? Right. And it just shows like, do you have put any credence into like Billboard or Grammys and stuff like that as your artistry?
Not at all. I mean, I look at those things as what's popping. Like, it's not really, it doesn't really do much for me because there's a lot of songs that don't get any recognition, like I said with Kalani, that I'm playing on repeat outside of, you know, the songs that you're going to hear on the radio on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah, I mean, not to say that they're not good songs, but that whole Billboard Grammy thing doesn't really do a lot for me. So, and then back to the whole country thing, it's like, if you were to ask somebody that makes country music, you know, what makes a country song? Like, what is the essence of it? Like, everything that they may say is gonna be inside of that. So yeah. It was real whack that they took that down. Man.
Yeah, inherently you can point to it's a race thing. Inherently you could point to country to basically took a black genre and then now are like shutting people out per systematic oppression and systematic, you know, how they've been doing us for forever. But it's just interesting to see that unfold in front of our eyes and it just be so blatant.
Yeah, because I don't think that's ever happened where they pulled something off of Billboard for it not being the same context of a song. Like,
so the only other thing I could think of was like with they've snatched stuff down, but the only thing I could think of was when Beyonce had her song, Daddy's, I forgot the song from Lemonade, but it was a country song, and they didn't want to define it as country either. And her song was blatantly country. Listen,
they don't want us to pull every category.
And she was like, "Nah, I'm gonna come up on here with the Dixie Chicks and go on the Country Awards. So what are you gonna say now?" So it's just interesting to see like where, like, you know, Hov been telling us fuck Billboard for a minute, so exactly. It's just like,
and Drake just told us about the Grammys, so I don't care about either.
Yeah. So what would be accolades to you in terms of like your journey as an artist?
My fault.
That's right.
The progression. Like, I check my numbers on how my music is doing. That's my core. That's like the biggest thing for me. Those awards don't really mean much because a lot of times it's a room of, you know, 30 or less people that are making this one decision just based on, you know, trying to look at the world and see what they like. But my core base is the people that I know are gonna buy my music instead of just randomly streaming it or come to my shows and stuff like that. Like, that's the main basis for me. Those are the awards for me. So I mean, I look at the first time I put out a song to the way my numbers move now. I mean, granted, I'm not, you know, the superstar I want to be at, but they've grown, you know, real nice. So those are the things that I love. And just even with my fan base, when it comes to my social media, it's like the reactions I get to people, like personal stuff, like people that can actually reach out to me and talk to me. Those are the best. Not all the far-fetched stuff that, you know, we follow for a long time. It doesn't really mean, you know, as much as something personal. Yeah,
and I think that's the great thing of about artists in this generation is that we're like bucking the system,
right,
in a way, and like traditional things that we used to look up to and like all these awards and stuff like that are not, you know, right, doesn't mean as much, and like we get more gratification on genuine interactions versus, like you said, these 30 people in a room, like, this looks like it might be the best one. Like, you know what I'm saying, based on that.
And I mean, I wasn't there for that time, but I feel like, you know, us as hip-hop artists and, you know, black artists too, it was more important because we were fighting to get into that. You know, we were fighting real hard to say, you know, I can do that too. And then once we finally did it and it became something regular, it was like, okay, what's the next move now?
Yeah.
And with, not to cut you off, with technology, that was the main thing for being personal with your fans and stuff like that. So I think that's the next step.
Yeah. So no, I agree with you 1,000%. In terms of now how technology seems to be divisive in a way in terms of like being so removed from like I think that artists are getting back to that like, hey, we actually need to genuinely appeal to our fan base versus a traditional system, because that's where the real money is coming in. Because I just wanted to touch on like what your thoughts about streaming are, because it seems like being an artist, you don't necessarily make the bulk of your money off of the music itself. And like obviously there's so many things where we need to figure out how, like, you know, one stream is like less than like 0.00046% like cents, like, you know what I'm saying? So like how do you navigate that in terms of like being passionate about music, but like, hey, like this is like, you could have the potential to make money doing other things, but then like kind of like me putting this out is kind of like promo for something else, like, you know what I'm saying? So how do you navigate in that?
I think now as an upcoming artist, for me it's like it's best to use the tools, you know, because understanding at the time that we're in, and I think Tidal, they give you the most for your money. So like I really try, even though I'm doing, you know, my best on Apple Music and Spotify, like I try to push Tidal a lot, because that's where the, you know, the main thing comes in. But I think more as I establish myself, I can draw away from it, and I think the next thing that I want to do is create my own personal thing where you have to come to my site, or try to create an app where you have to come to me and, you know, pay a certain amount of money and get the music. But in order to have that type of power, it's like I want to utilize what technology we have right now and make myself go further, and then I'll get into those things. So
so what's your plans in terms of like, where do you see yourself in the next few years?
In the next few years, I mean, every year has gotten a lot better. I'm more comfortable with making music. I do it a lot quicker. I have a lot of stuff in the stash. I want to, you know, broaden myself into doing different things. Like you saw before, I wasn't doing the whole singing thing. So I want to keep adding tools to my arsenal, and, you know, checking who's messing with. And I have like a deep eye on the people who are really, you know, saying, yo, when is your songs coming out, blah, blah, blah. Like that audience keeps growing. So the main thing for me is just keep growing my audience. And I want to start going to other states and stuff like that, and really broaden, because right now a lot of my fan base is, you know, New York, and I have a couple people that's like, you know, PA and stuff like that, but I got to move around and make myself known. So for me, in the next few years, it's making an imprint I'm trying to make in my own hood through the whole states, like through the whole country. Like that's what it is for me.
So we reached the part of the show where, you know, like everybody's favorite part, where you have to give a top 5. And I think in this episode, I want to ask you, who would be your top 5 in terms of for the phase you're in your life right now, like in terms of who's inspired you at this current moment?
Well, I mean, no matter how the conversation goes, Jay go first, Jay-Z goes first.
I knew you was gonna say that.
And I'm keeping myself outside of this, right? Okay.
We already know your top 5. No, I'm kidding.
For me personally, and this is to hit all angles, not even just hip hop artists, like who helped me become an artist, I would say that's Jay-Z. I pull a lot from Nas as well. Rick Ross, T.I., and Drake.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the top. Those are the top 5 people that molded me. Like I remember being young and tipping my hat to the side, like T.I. and all that stuff. Like I pick pieces, and when it come to, you know, motivating people and having a blueprint, like that was Jay and Ross and stuff like that, and all the other sweet stuff for the ladies, you know, that's Drake. So
I was gonna say Carepackage kind of reminds me of some Lucy's from Drake when he has, like, you know, his like Girls Love Beyonce, or even the name of the song is escaping me right now from Take Care, but it was kind of reminiscent of that type of feel, but then also like your aggression when you rap is similar to like Ross and like like Nas in terms of being the word is escaping me now too, but like being present in what you're talking about. And I find that that's a dope thing about your artistry.
If I had to add on real quick,
I know you want 5A 5B. Go ahead, got you.
I would definitely add on Trey Songz and LL Cool J.
Why? Expound upon that.
That's like the extension of the whole Drake thing, like being in that softer mode or being in more that, you know, female or sexual per se mode. Like that was definitely Trey Songz. And then LL Cool J growing up, that was big for me. Like my mom made sure I knew a lot of his stuff, and even current stuff when I was, you know, alive and growing up. Like LL when it came to the women too. Like that's my extension off of Drake. Like those two.
Now that you say that, I definitely hear a lot of LL inspiration. Even like with the Doing It or sometimes when I'm sitting in my room, sometimes I stare at my wall, like that, like type of I Need Love. That's the song.
Yeah, I Need Love.
But yeah, I hear that in your sound. So that's dope that you were genuinely inspired by him. And you know, every time I hear that you say these things, I'm like, you're so young, right? That's crazy that these are your inspirations. But
shout outs to my mother.
Yes, shout outs to mommy. But that's dope. And thank you again for pulling up.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
It's definitely a pleasure. I love being here.
Yeah, I'm so glad you came back and you are so transparent about yourself and stuff. So tell the people what they can look out for. Like you said, your project you're working on it right now. Yes.
So if you're looking for any of my music, you can find it on my page, I am BANDZ_, or you can just look up Carepackage 2, Carepackage 1. I have those up right now. And look forward to a lot of videos coming out, and the next project will be here this summer, definitely.
All right. I'm holding you to it.
Yes, I got y'all. Thank you.